I came from a Muslim background. Both my parents are Muslim. All I knew was about the religion of Islam. I've never been to a church when I was younger. I was only exposed to Islamic rules and religion and what it was like to be one, which was inherently very cultural as well. My parents are both Turkish, and growing up is when you were raised not only as a Turk but inherently as a Muslim as well. I believed that there was only one God, Allah, and through Him, basically you got to heaven depending on the way you lived your life. And it was, I guess, graded on a scale on how much good you did in this life that would determine whether you got to heaven or not. That was my belief then. When I was 15 years old, I moved to Cyprus to stay with my grandparents, my dad's parents. And by this time, my parents had divorced, and my dad had been remarried. And his wife had a huge influence over my dad. And she pretty much destroyed any communication we've ever had with my father. And that had resulted in him abandoning us and rejecting us. My mother was very neglectful to us as well. So we grew up a lot on our own, and growing up with a pain of pretty much left being orphaned. And as a result, we were stuck in our grandparents' house. And my grandparents were very unsympathetic towards our situation. During the time I was in Cyprus, I've never stepped foot in my father's house. And there was no one to really support us emotionally. So, we were really suffering. My grandparents were very, very strict. And we were pretty much homebound a lot of the times. We were allowed no social life, so me and my brother studied a lot. I actually was very opposed to Christianity. I was very sympathetic towards Islam, and especially towards Palestinians, because what they're going through. And I know this may sound a little harsh, but I actually kind of felt very much opposed and kind of hatred towards Christianity, and I felt it was just a hoax and a man-made religion. And it developed some resentment within me. In my own personal life, from the rejection that I went through, and the abandonment and the abuse from my parents, and the rejection from my grandparents, that led me to have suicidal tendencies. On a couple occasions, I took half a bottle of pills and tried to commit suicide. And sometimes I'd even starve myself just to get attention. I mean, me and my brothers were just hungry for some kind of attention, anything at all. I left Cyprus to go live with my mom, and after about a year or so, we had troubles, and she had set me up with, I guess, one of her clients, and had later kicked me out of the house. And at that time, I had nowhere to live. And so I went to go live with this man. We dated for about 7 months or so. He'd go to church a few times, and he asked me to go with him. So I went. And there, I was pretty much introduced to Christ. And before that, I knew of Jesus. I didn't believe in him. But that, I think, kind of initiated me to be introduced to the Bible and to the Lord Jesus. But at that time, when the pastor was preaching a sermon, I was not receptive to it because there was a lot of hurt in me. And so I rejected it for a while. But I came to a breaking point. I was clinically depressed. I was seeing a psychiatrist. I was alone. And really I had no one to talk to. It was like trapped in this cage. And depression is a terrible thing. My friend at the time had given me a Bible, and it would just kind of sit there and collect dust. And so I came to a point where I gave the Bible the benefit of the doubt. I decided to pick it up and read it. And I believe something just rose inside of me that motivated me, that made me pick up the Bible and read it. And maybe it's something that I never knew then, you know. It's just, I picked it up and I read it. And I believe the first book I read was either Matthew or John. So I started reading it. I was alone in my apartment. I had found an apartment 7 months after living with the man I was dating. And in the book of Psalms, chapter 27, verse 10, it says, "Your mother and father may forsake you, but I, the Lord, will receive you." And that really fits my life, because that verse really